Hey guys! So, the 5x XP days are unfortunately over in World of Tanks, and just like I guess a lot of you out there, I did grind the shit out of it as well. I finally managed to unlock the Top Gun on the M5355 Tier 9 SPG and also the Tier 7 Stürer Emil tank destroyer, which by the way suddenly doesn't feel like a massive pain in the back to play anymore. What can I say? The wonders of a half-decent gun. Now I also finally aced the M103 Tier 9 American Heavy as well, so you can expect a review on that tank too in the near future. Right now, however, I have something completely different prepared for you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my utmost pleasure to introduce you one of the stars of the World of Tanks Fun Division, the AMX ELC bis. This Tier 5 light tank is super special and massive amounts of fun despite its weaknesses, but you will probably need a little experience under your belt before you will start to excel in it reliably. As usual, there is actually an ace tanker gameplay waiting for you at the end of this review, and it's actually a Tier 7 match to make it even more interesting. If you want to jump right ahead to it, the timestamp stands ready in the description below. Now as for the rest of us, let's have a quick look at the history of this French wasp of a tank. The AMX ELC was a revolutionary new tank concept, at least among the typical French tank designs, that envisioned an infantry support tank that was light enough to be airlifted, but at the same time powerful enough to engage also heavier opponents. The ELC project was launched in 1955 and did run until 1961, producing a single working prototype, but it officially never entered service. Now this lightning-fast vehicle was so small, and by the way that means only 1.6 meters tall and 2.2 meters wide, that the two-man crew had to sit in the turret on both sides of the 90mm gun, which also limited the turret rotation. While in real life the turret could actually turn 160 degrees while stationary, on the move it was fixed to a much more limited gun arc. Now the prototype that has been completed has been actually reserved at the Musée Général Estienne in Saumur, France, which by the way is probably one of the world's largest tank and armored fighting vehicle museums, featuring among many hundreds of other machines also the world's oldest tank in running condition, a Schneider CA1 back from 1916. So, I have to admit that wasn't really exciting about the real AMX ELC, but oh boy, the in-game version is capable of some real magic under the right conditions and with a bit of luck and knowledge. So, without further ado, let's dive into the numbers. Now, this time around, I won't do actually a static garage review as usual, but I will have another replay running in the background and display the stats as an overlay on the right hand side. Let me know how you like this style. I hope it will be a bit more funky this way. Anyways, let's have a look first at one of the most prominent features of this tank, a 90mm boomstick on a super lightweight Tier 5 light tank. Now without question, it simply blows its competitors out of the water with its penetration of 170mm and its excellent alpha damage of 240 per shot. And that's by the way with the regular AP shells. APCR in this machine is just silly. I mean, 248mm of penetration is more like Tier 10 material than Tier 5 really. Now, all of this greatness comes, of course, at a hefty price, like the 12-second reload, giving us a mere 5 rounds per minute rate of fire, the 2.9-second aim time, the only 5 degrees of gun depression, or the fact that you only have a 30-degree gun arc in reality despite having a turret. Now accuracy is surprisingly okay on the rare occasions that you can let it fully aim. Well, you have a dispersion of only 0.38 meters after all. But in most cases, as we will discuss in a minute, you are far better off just blasting things at point-blank range as you drive past them. Now all of these points mean that the DPM on this machine is garbage compared to the other Tier 5 light tanks like the Chaffee or the Crusader, but that's actually fine. The ELC is a dedicated hit-and-run machine, so sustained damage doesn't really matter on most occasions. The armor profile fits in this picture perfectly as well. Dead average health pool with 400 HP and basically no armor whatsoever. With only 25mm of protection at best, it doesn't really matter where you get hit. Unless you get really lucky and your tracksuit hit, you will get panned and, in a lot of cases, one-shotted by the opposition. The solution is however really simple. don't get hit. And that's exactly where the amazing mobility of this machine comes into play, combined with this super small silhouette that you have. It can be a really frustrating thing to hit a full-speed AMX ELC zooming across the map, almost melting into the ground, and then we did not even mention that you have the best camo rating of all the Tier 5 light tanks as well. So you can zip around the battlefield like a ghost, a very fast ghost. Now add to this the fact that with your truly amazing 35.7 horsepower per ton power to weight ratio, you can really easily reach your top speed, and you have yourself a very annoying and very effective mosquito on the battlefield with quite a sting as well. And just to top it, the hull traverse at 38 degrees per second and the turret traverse with 44 degrees per second are really good too, although the turret does not turn all the way as we discussed already. And at the end, well, just to make sure that you don't think that everything is rosy, this thing only gets 360 meters signal range and also a somewhat limited 360 meters view range, which can mean trouble, so be aware of it. So, after all this, how does it actually play? Well, the key thing to realize is, at least in my honest opinion, is that by playing the ELC, suddenly locations will become available on almost every map that you could not really use in any other tank so far effectively. The super low silhouette means that you can now abuse depressions that would be far too small for other tanks, you can hide in bushes that could only cover the tracks of some of the others, and you can often park alongside your opponents and they won't be able to hit you ever due to their limited gun depression. Other than this, the mixture of spotting and hit and run tactics is a very effective way of doing things. Use your mobility to zip through enemy lines, look for openings in the front line, and get behind wounded opponents and blast them into oblivion. Just be careful not to drive into the thick of things, or you will be out of the match in an instant. Aggression is good, but only if you time it well. Now, equipment-wise, gun rammer is pretty much mandatory, and to accompany it I would suggest to use vents and coated optics. Now, this fits a more active role perfectly, but you could actually go for binoculars as well if you tend to do more passive scouting. Gun laying drive could seem logical with such a long aim time, but considering that you will more often than not fire on the move, another equipment will probably be better used to you at the end. Crew skill wise, camo, Brothers with Arms, Sixth Sense, Smooth Ride are all very useful. Now I would probably start with camo and retrain to Brothers in Arms once fully trained. Right, so that's the AMX ELC on paper for you. Let's take it out for a spin and see how it can perform under more exciting conditions. Alright, so here we are on the good old Ruinberg map in a standard matchup. Now, being in an AMX ELC, just like in any other light tank, you will face a lot higher tiered opponents most of the time. But the ELC does not care. Your gun will be plenty capable of dealing with, well, pretty much anything that you will be thrown at, sometimes from the front as well, but from the sides and rear, always. Now, first thing I want to do on this map is go to the middle, and there are a lot of bushes there which such a low profile tank can absolutely abuse and get some spots on that middle road and anything that tries to move up on the other side of that ridge. Now you could see how excellent the acceleration of this little light tank is. It's very easy to maintain top speed or close to top speed, even on more rougher terrain. And that's the back of a Chinook-ai. Will we find the shot? There he is. Boom! It's super satisfying to bring those juicy shots at the sides and rear of those enemy tanks, and there is the first kill. That Chinook didn't last very long at all. Now you can see that I'm actually not being spotted here. This, I would say limited cover is really good for the ELC, and it's well enough to keep it protected. It's actually one of the rare occasions that I'm able to, use my not so good DPM to dish out some damage. It's very rare that you are able to sit in one place and take these shots. at the opponent, so cherish them while they last. Okay, so T-150 is gone as well, and that KV-85 from the front should not be a problem either. Well, as long as we don't hit the tracks. And what's this? A Cromwell is trying to jump on an E-25, which is a really bad idea, I must add. And that ended about as well as you could expect it to. Okay, well, so far it doesn't seem to be much more on this side of the map, so most of the guys are actually zooming down to take care of the campers at the back. And there is a BDR there, so I don't know what he's really doing there, but you should be able to take him out really quickly. And that was a wasted shot. Not to worry, there are still plenty other tanks left that we can, well, give the good news to. There is an archer we have to deal with first, and the KV-1, which I don't know, is he AFK? Could be. Oh, and there is the artillery as well. Now archer is not facing this way. Well, now he is, and yeah, that was a little bit foolish and unnecessary. But we could take the shot, and we have enough time to move around. I wait until the Nashorn engages the archer, forcing him to face towards him, and then we can just casually roll behind him and take him out with a merciless shot to the side. And that's what the AMX a lot of times is about. Get yourself into positions where the enemy is engaged or generally looking the other way, and just move up to its side and rear and blast them into oblivion. And I have to admit, it feels really, really good. Now let's see when we can get here. There are 2 Tiger 1s left, enemy team, so I will try to sneak a shot from this corner onto them. There we go. As we can see, the aim time is, well, it is what it is, and if you don't let it aim fully, this is what you will get. So either drive in their face, and that's much more better, or find a position where you can let it fully aim. If you can, then the accuracy is actually not half bad, but if you try to fire before, it will most probably not work out as well. And this is rather foolish. It's not the best angle to go against these 2 tigers so clustered together. It seems that that Tiger 1 has maybe its ammo rack damaged, so we can casually wait until we get our tracks back and then stick our gun into its side. So, not a bad game in the AMX ELC. Watching this game definitely brought back some sweet memories of this special light tank, and I actually did rebuy it again and added it to my list of favorites that I, well, actually keep in the game. Now, it might not be the most flexible of tanks, but the fun factor is undoubtedly there. As for the results, this was actually my first Ace Tanker gameplay in this machine, and apart from the almost 44,000 credits, I could also bag over 5,600 XP, thanks to a daily triple special at that time. And it was well earned as well, if I do say so myself. We did manage to finish after all on top of the charts, both by XP earned and by kills secured as well. Now, damage overall might not have been the most dealt in this game, but 1700 damage from a tier 5 light tank in a tier 7 match is plenty nonetheless. That 90mm gun is capable of dishing out some serious punishment, if you give it the opportunity. Now, talking about the gun, the accuracy was not too bad, even despite the long-range shooting at the beginning. From the overall 13 shots fired, 11 hit the target and 10 penetrated as well. If you can allow it to fully aim, it will actually perform quite nicely. Now, of course, this situation was rather special, and in most cases you are much better off relying on hit-and-run tactics. Alright, so this was my quick review on the AMX ELC bis, the Tier 5 French light tank. I hope you found it useful. If you did, thank you for considering giving it a like or sharing it. Now this week there will be one more video coming up on the UI customization options and base building possibilities in Armored Warfare, And for next week, I will preload the 160,000 damage run in the Zuyo, the Tier 5 Japanese CV in World of Warships. Take care, guys! I hope you will have some really enjoyable games this week, and I look forward to seeing you again in one of the next videos.